Well, good morning, everybody, and a belated Happy New Year. Can't help feeling a slight sense of déjà vu standing here, because it was in this very room on the 3rd of June 2024 when I decided that I would come out of political retirement and come back and get involved as leader of reform by the good grace of Richard Tice, and what an 18 months it has been. We managed in that election to win a handful of seats and get over 4 million votes, but have made pretty remarkable, indeed some would say historic, progress since that moment. And we've now led the opinion polls for nearly 200 polls in a row with an average of around about 9 or 10%. So it's been an amazing 18 months. Now, of course, current affairs and politics never stop. And with the certain man in the American presidency, it's been a pretty busy news period. But today I want to take the opportunity to remind everybody that 4 months today, on the 7th of May, we will see the single most significant set of electoral tests in this country between now and the general election. And my time, my effort, my focus, my energy, my drive, right at the moment, is entirely on getting this party ready to fight those elections with the right candidates and the right leadership where it's needed. The Welsh elections have been very much talked about already, and after 26 years of Labour controlling Wales, given that it has the worst NHS, the worst education, we're about to see in the traditional homelands in the valleys, the Labour Party getting pretty much wiped out in those elections. And I'll be doing events in Wales over the course of the next couple of weeks. And it really does look like a two-horse race between us and Plaid. In Scotland, the party has made just the most astonishing progress. I mean, I have to say, it surprised even me. Just look at the sets of by-elections that take place every couple of weeks, and you'll see consistently since July 24 our numbers improving, and in the one by-election there's been for the Scottish Parliament, we scored in the high 20%. I will be doing a press conference in Edinburgh next Thursday, where I will announce the leader of Reform UK Scotland, and we look again, quite possibly, to those elections being a straight two-horse race between us and the SNP, although admittedly, right at the moment, the SNP are quite some way ahead. Of course, we have the English elections. Now, we've got a handful of county council elections that were cancelled last year that are supposed to take place this year, along with a whole new series of mayoral contests and thousands of council seats. Many in the West Midlands, many in the North East. In fact, in total, if all the elections go ahead, we're going to need to field over 5,000 candidates on May the 7th this year. But as you know, the government have opened the door for the cancellation of elections in 63 separate areas, and already in East and West Sussex, the ruling Conservative leaders of those two respective county councils have already requested that the elections be cancelled for a second year in a row. I have likened this to a banana republic, and I don't pull back in any way from that statement. But regardless of what gets cancelled, this is still a very major set of elections taking place on May the 7th, and it may well decide who the Prime Minister is. It may well decide who the leader of the Conservative Party is, and it will make a material difference to my strength or otherwise as leader of this party too, and that's pretty much unavoidable. So the stakes are very, very high. Whoever comes out on top on May the 7th will be in a very strong position to win the next general election, which, as you all know, I do not believe will last until 2029. There are one or two commentators that will tell you that the economic markers are looking better, that inflation is softening, that interest rates are on the way down. Well, if you want to take those as measures of the economy in good shape you can, I actually take those measures to show just how weak the British economy is. And certainly, once you get outside of London, it's difficult to escape the feeling that we are literally on the edge of a very, very major business contraction amongst the private sector, certainly with small and medium-sized enterprises, and that unemployment may well be significantly higher this time next year. So I still believe that the ultimate power of the bond markets will bring this government to heel, and that we will get an election earlier. But there's one set of elections that I want to talk to you about today, and I know there'll be questions, of course, from the media on a whole range of other subjects. But there's one set of elections that are being pretty much ignored, and that is the fact that all 32 London boroughs are up for election on May the 7th, and they will not be cancelled. Now, traditionally, it would be fair to say that parties that I led in the past had not done particularly well in the capital. But that is changing, and changing very, very quickly. We view these elections as being important, not just of themselves. We view these elections as being a really very major electoral opportunity to us in several of those boroughs, which we believe we can win outright. But we also believe that it's a precursor to the election of the Mayor of London. Now, Sadiq Khan has announced he will run for the fourth consecutive time, there being no term limits. And of course, not everything that's gone wrong in London is Sadiq's fault. The flight of high taxpayers, the imposition of VAT on high-end goods, where those that used to spend fortunes in London now go to Paris, go to Milan. But many of the things that have gone wrong in London are clearly the fault of Sadiq Khan and the operation, frankly, of the Metropolitan Police and what their priorities are. London is now in the grip of a crime wave run by foreign criminal gangs, many of whom have come to this country illegally and frankly should not be here. And we are seeing a flight from London, particularly of people who've got children. They are scared about their kids going out at night, going out at weekends. They're particularly scared if their children are female. And this is something that has happened under Sadiq's watch, that, the rise in knife crime, and much else. Both of the last two opportunities, Khan could have been beaten. But the Conservatives chose Sean Bailey, who tried on his own to fight a very good campaign, but got no support from the Central Conservative Party whatsoever. They then came up with Susan Hall, who, for all of her good qualities, certainly had not become a household name and wasn't in a position to take on Khan. He could have been beaten on both of those occasions. Well, we view what will happen on May the 7th in London as the precursor to us taking on Khan in 2027, and we're going to fight fully with the intention of winning the London mayoralty. Internationally, the reputation of London is collapsing. This once admired, historic, astonishing and extraordinary place is now being talked about around the world in increasingly disparaging terms. The fish does rot from the head down. We need to get rid of Khan. We need a new mayor of London. And today's press conference is about launching our candidate to stand for mayor of London, but also the person that will be the face and the campaigning force around all 32 boroughs as we head in to those May the 7th elections. Laila Cunningham has already proven in her time with us as a party to be articulate, to be passionate, a mother, somebody who actually herself has had to effectively, in the absence of the police, act as a police officer herself in defence of her children. And she, from this moment on, will be the head of Reform UK London, our candidate for the mayor next year, but the face of our campaign as we fight a strong, vigorous campaign in all 32 London boroughs in the run-up to May the 7th. Be in no doubt, we are taking May the 7th very, very seriously. Be in no doubt, if we can succeed across the United Kingdom on May the 7th, we are certain we will then go on to win the next general election. Let me introduce and welcome to the stage Laila Cunningham.
Good morning. As Nigel has said, today we are announcing that I'm standing to be the next Mayor of London. Now, I know that we're still 2.5 years away, but the election on May 7th is the first step. It's the first step to reclaiming our city. Now, these local elections, I tell everyone, will be a referendum on Sadiq Khan, on Labour's broken London. It's Londoners' chance to vote out every councillor who's propped him up and stayed silent while he's let our city down. From now until May, I will be spearheading our campaign, touring every borough, because for the first time in years, Londoners finally have a real alternative: reform. And unlike Labour or Tories, we won't defend a status quo that doesn't work for the voters. See, London is my home. It made me who I am. I was born and raised here. Discovered my passion for basketball here, in the courts, from Croydon to Brixton to Newham. I played in the London Youth Games, some of the best times of my life, and that's where I learned the importance of team spirit. I became a senior Crown prosecutor here, and I'm raising my 7 children here. And that's 7 reasons why I want to do this. I love this city with all my heart, but unlike some in this room, I'm not blind to what it's become. London, one of the greatest cities on earth, is no longer safe. And that didn't happen by accident. That happened on Sadiq Khan's watch. Let's just go through some stats. Knife crime in London is up 68% since 2016. Robbery is up by more than 50% during that same period. More than 100 phones are stolen every single year, and that's just those we know about. We are living, ladies and gentlemen, through a rape epidemic. You see, crime for me is not theoretical, like some of the journalists who say I'm scaremonging. My family has experienced it many times. In fact, one time, my kids were targeted by gangs in balaclavas, who people say don't exist. Day after day, near us, in broad daylight. We were all terrified. I turned to the police, naturally. I was told there were not enough resources. So I gathered the evidence myself. In fact, I just had a baby then. I put him in the carrier. I followed the gangs. I took photos because they were all in balaclavas. Their shoes were very distinct. I protected my family when the state couldn't. The press called me vigilante mum, but I should never have been put in that position. There should have been backup, but there wasn't. There should have been leadership that cared, but there wasn't. And I had to risk my life, my baby's life, my family's life to protect my family. Enough. I speak to so many women in this city who don't feel safe. Why would they? There's no police, and hardly any rape offences are prosecuted. I speak to women who've been raped who have been told by the police, I'm sorry, there's not enough evidence. And we all know rape happens when no one sees. I speak to parents, like myself, who panic every time their child doesn't pick up the phone. I think, has he been stabbed? Has he got into a fight? Has my daughter been sexually harassed? And I do see masked gangs roam our streets. I saw it as a criminal prosecutor in the areas I went to, and I see it in my area. And they carry knives and behave as no one will stop them. And most of the time, sadly, in this city, no one does. See, Londoners like me have lost faith in the law. The social contract and the state has failed in its first duty to keep us safe. This is the London that Sadiq Khan has created. A city where criminals operate freely, where victims are sacrificed, ignored. People are scared, and Khan thinks it's enough to tweet platitudes, random stats. Because let's face it, Khan never accepts responsibility. No, he attacks anyone who says London's dangerous. He calls them far right, racist. He ludicrously says that criticism of his record is because he's Muslim, and we are all Islamophobic. Frankly, it's an insult to victims and to Londoners. Londoners are scared because most of us, let's face it, have been victims of crime or know someone who has. And we're scared because London is more dangerous. Just look at what happened at Edgware Road this week. 3 young men stabbed. This is life now in London. It's not even surprising. This is what families fear every day for their sons when they leave their house. I've got 3 teenage boys. It's what I fear. A city where criminals just operate brazenly. Why not? There's no visible policing. Yet he keeps telling us his fight against crime is working. Let's have a recap of his greatest hits, shall we, in his so-called fight against crime. Police stations and public counters closed. Visible policing cut. Stop and search halved. And as violent crime rose, guess what he did? He chose to create specialist Met police squads to monitor hate speech. Officers diverted and tasked with policing language. Honestly, you couldn't make it up. And thanks to Khan, a massive vacuum on our streets, power vacuum, that was filled by criminals. And listen, crime doesn't stop with the victim. It's corrosive. It rips through the economy. Shops close. High streets die. I speak to people who don't want to invest here. Investment goes elsewhere because who the hell wants to build a future in a city where the police just don't show up? And the consistent message from Khan is, it's not my problem. It's not my fault. He treats City Hall like his own kingdom, waving through pet projects or jetting off to faraway lands on our expense. He rewards cronies with 6-figure salaries while ordinary Londoners can't pay their bills. But Londoners need to know that the state of law and order in our city is his fault. He is the London Police and Crime Commissioner. He appoints the Met Commissioner. He sets the priorities, the direction. He signs off on the budget. He is in charge. So Londoners, I have a different message. Safety for Londoners is the first duty of any mayor, and it will be my first duty as Mayor of London. And that means visible policing. Zero tolerance for crime. Real consequences. There'll be a new sheriff in town, and I'll be launching an all-out war on crime. I will set clear, high-level priorities for the Met to focus on tackling knife crime, drugs, robbery, shoplifting, rape. And I will task the Met Police with targeting, hunting, and prosecuting rape gangs in London. There will be nowhere for them to hide. And as Mayor, I will ensure there is a serious reckoning for those who have failed those victims and those who have failed this city. Speaking of the latter, TfL. Time and time again, London has been held to ransom because the Mayor won't stand up to his union paymasters. He serves them before he serves us. And under me, that ends. And if it means automating the trains, then that's exactly what I'll do, train by train. Every part of life in London is getting more expensive. And still, he keeps punishing people for driving to work. ULEZ isn't about quality of air or air quality. It's about cash and control. He knew it would hit working Londoners the hardest. He just didn't care. He just wanted to be some kind of international eco-warrior. Working people have been fined, tracked, and taxed simply for driving to work. I'm speaking to parents simply for taking their children to school, simply for caring for elderly relatives. Carers, tradesmen, small business owners have been treated like the problem, while violent offenders walk the streets. Not only walk the streets, own the streets. Under my watch, that will stop. I will end the war on motorists. And to all you Londoners stuck in traffic, I will get London moving again. And I want to say something about the city I love, about London itself. When I was growing up, London was the place to live, the place to work, the place to build a life. People envied those that lived here. Now they pity us. They say, ooh, London's a bit too dangerous for me. People were proud to say they were Londoners. We said it with warmth, with belonging. Sadly, today I speak to so many people who are leaving. So many families who are moving out because they fear for their kids, because their kids have repeatedly been mugged, targeted. To businesses who are shutting down because they can't afford the shoplifting. Investors who are going elsewhere. Sadly, our young people that I speak to no longer dream of moving to London. They're scared of it. They see young men are stabbed for their watches or jackets in broad daylight. That's not normal. But we're told to accept it. But for me, it will never, ever be acceptable. Now imagine the reverse. Imagine London safe again. Imagine pride again. Imagine the capital city of the United Kingdom restored to its former glory. Strong, confident, prosperous, and secure. This is the London I believe in, and that is the London I will fight for. A London where our flag will be flown proudly across this city as a symbol of unity, belonging, and as a symbol of our British pride. This city made me who I am. And as mayor, I will fight for it, for my children, for yours, for us. I will fight as hard as I can for the London that it should be. A united London. No more splitting us in boxes, black, white, gay, straight. No, we are all Londoners under one box. Because all they did was divide and conquer. That's going to stop. Over the next 2 years, I will put together the most serious, detailed plan for London that any party has produced. And I won't do it from behind a desk. I will go borough to borough, estate to estate, high street to high street, listening to Londoners. And unlike Labour, I won't be lecturing them. I want to hear from shopkeepers, mums on the school run, black cab drivers. One of my first legal jobs was representing black cab drivers, nurses, small business owners, young people like my children who feel that they've been pushed out of their own city. I will speak to everyone because this plan will not be written by me. It will be written for and by the people who actually live here, work here, raise their families here. And they deserve a city that finally works for them and not the politicians. Because I'll end with this isn't about political allegiance anymore. It's about the future of our city. And I don't say this lightly, it's about the survival of our city. Living in London the way we want to live. It's about restoring what makes London worth living in. Ask yourself, is that still here? It's not about whether you voted Tory or Labour. To be fair, most Londoners have given up on Tories a long time ago. They're not even part of the conversation. But the mayoral election will be a binary choice. Khan v. Cunningham. And listen, Khan knows who I am. I've confronted him before on his record. He tried to ignore me once, but my message to him, he can't ignore me anymore. The choice of Khan v. Cunningham is a choice that you will make that will decide the future of London, the future of the best city in the world. So I tell you this, vote for the freedom that safety brings. Vote for reform. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and you can see the passion there. And worth reminding everybody that Laila has given up a very successful, well-paid job to do this full time. And you'll no doubt hear a little bit more about her work with the Crown Prosecution Service as time goes on. I think there are two quick messages that come for me out of it. Number one, don't mess with a vigilante mum. And number two, for those who don't think this can actually happen, throughout the 1980s and 1990s, I worked for American companies, New York-based, Chicago-based, and I do remember, going to New York as a young businessman, and you wouldn't dare leave a bar or restaurant until you saw the car ready on the side of the road, and you ran across as quickly as you could, because New York had become the most dangerous city in America. And 8 years later, after 2 terms of Rudy Giuliani, New York had become one of the safest cities in America. All done by one man, one man's drive and determination, and the NYPD cooperating, or where they didn't, being sacked, and the right people with the right priorities coming in. As I say, some will think, well, these elections are a long way away. But the point is, every person in London has a vote on May the 7th. And we intend to try and make it a referendum on the direction that the whole capital is going in.